Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. We're the podcast that makes every Monday a fun day because we get together and we talk about movies because we have a mission here as we try to find one movie to define each state in all 50 of these United States. It's been a long mission. It's been a fun mission. My name is Ollie Pettigrew. I love movies. I've always loved movies. I used to host movie shows back in Asia and I have found two fellas that love movies just as much, if not more than me, which has made this adventure such a fun one, particularly this week, because boy, oh boy, do we have a movie we cannot wait to talk about. Let's start off by welcoming them back to the show. First of all, the man, the myth, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, that's the official introduction.
Legend.
Legend. Will Hirsch, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I am Jack's utter sense of confusion about the movie that I picked for this week.
I'm so glad you did as well. And honestly,
this is something.
Considering we've got on this podcast this week two movies that I basically know all the words to, and I don't want to talk about either of them. Shows you just how much we want to get into this other movie. It's Wraith levels of crazy. But before we get there, we have to welcome the Wraith himself. He lives in Arizona. He terrorizes the back roads in his car. He's always dressed in leather and has no real explanation for his backstory. It's Ryan Sarner. Welcome back to the show.
Someone's been reading my diary. Oh, it's so great to be back here, guys. I think we finally hit a state that just kind of broke us.
Yeah.
It's when you look up the films shot in and or set in this state, there ain't many. And this was a tough pick. There's at least three. We know that.
Right.
There are very few.
Fairly, yeah.
The state that we're doing is Delaware. To be quite honest, all I ever knew of Delaware, because as I've explained before, everything I learned about America, I learned from watching American movies, is the joke from Wayne's World.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you type in Delaware into the Wikipedia page, it says as featured in Wayne's World. And that's it.
and
no history but that.
Hey, we're in Delaware. And so I'm like, okay, I guess this place is weird. I guess this place is boring. But it turns out one of my favorite ever movies growing up as a teenager was made in, was set in this particular state. And that was the movie that I brought to the table is the 1995 movie Empire Records.
Mm-hmm. So glad you did too.
Me too. It's directed by Alan Moyle, who is Canadian. He directed a bunch of stuff, but the only other thing you may have heard of is another movie that I like from the sort of the 80s or early 90s, 1990, I believe. It's Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. Christian Slater has his own pirate radio. Have you not seen that, Ryan? It's cool.
That sounds familiar, but no.
And it's sexy. It's very sort of like 1990s, and it's Christian Slater. But this movie stars Anthony Paglia, Rory Cochrane, Renée Zellweger, Liv Tyler, Maxwell Caulfield, Rex Manning himself, Robin Tunney, a who's who of honestly some up and coming young actors, and it made fuck all. It made nothing. It made like $150,000 or something in its first week. And this to me is a mystery.
Such a cult. Well, I mean, it's just the definition of like a cult classic. You know, it's just one of those things. I don't know when it came out, but I remember seeing it all the time on TV, all the time.
Yeah. I for me it was just I saw it on VHS. You know, like everything. And
in boarding school?
Yeah, yes, actually, 1995.
How strange.
Wow. Nice.
But I would go on to, it would be like my defining sort of teenage movie. I loved watching it. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the idea of where they were. We were talking about it, like when I sort of ended up going, I was working in a clothes shop in Bath and I kind of helped create this sort of wacky atmosphere kind of thing. I still have a watch on a chain that I bought when I was like 16 years old.
Pocket watch?
I wanted to be like AJ.
So not a pocket watch, just the head of a watch.
Yeah, on a chain.
Okay, nice. Yeah. That's it's a vibe.
But honestly, and we often talk about it, it's so fun doing it with this podcast because you kind of watch it again. And will argue that the first 45 minutes of this movie is impeccably edited, impeccably written, and it's like a constant musical almost, just of constant banter of people understanding their roles.
You put it in my head too. I'd never thought of that. I thought of this, but while watching it, I was like, it feels very much like a high school production or like a play or something like that. It's got that kind of that tone to it. It's
100%. I mean, they were actually in 2020 developing it as an off-Broadway musical, but COVID-19 put an end to that. But
damn the man.
Yeah, damn the man. But there's honestly, as I got into looking into this, I didn't realize quite what a bomb it was. I mean, they paid more up front for the script than I think it made theatrically. 320 grand for the script, an extra 200 grand if they made it. So the writer made like $500,000. And she also got 1% of the soundtrack, and this was a banger soundtrack. So honestly,
this was an awesome soundtrack.
Yeah. So the Carol something or other, I'll get into that a little bit later. But another thing that I saw is that the production company that said, all right, we're going to make Empire Records, they were also given the script for another teen comedy called Clueless. And they were like, they passed on Clueless because they already had this teen movie. This one made 300,000. This one made $60 million.
Clueless. That's what you call people who buy this trash script. Let me tell you.
but I argue that this is a good movie. It's got like 30% reviews from critics, but then audience reviews are like 80%. And what's interesting is that of the three movies, the one that we all really want to talk about, guys, it has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Shut the fuck up.
No way! No. I can't believe it. But we'll get there.
From who? Jon Cryer?
Before we get there...
Pedophiles?
I was going to say Jared from Subway. This is his favorite movie.
Jeffrey Jones, how'd you get in here?
Oh, trust me, all of these jokes will make sense shortly. But before we get there, Ryan, tell us about the movie that you brought to the table. I didn't realize it was technically set in Delaware. Glad it was.
Yeah, and it still may not be, but I really famously don't do any research. But a movie that came up on the Delaware topic of cinema, it was Fight Club, where a movie famously not set really anywhere, but is rumored to basically take place within Delaware.
I think it is it's context clues because it's shot entirely in LA. But it's that like when I think it's Raymond, the guy that works in the store and he gets his driving license. I think if you look closely at some of the addresses, they identify it as Delaware. But apart from that, Delaware is never mentioned.
I think I was also reading online that someone had pointed out at the very end when they were blowing up the city skyline, like those are buildings in Delaware, but I don't know. Again, zero research.
One thing, please remind me that we have to talk about later when we do Fight Club is the Chinese end. Have you ever heard about the Chinese ending of Fight Club?
Go on.
Just goes to credits like when
dodgeball.
Okay, we'll talk about it right now, but it's wild. So the movie did not get released in China until they had to make some changes, and the change is
they added more penis shots.
Yes. Oh, well, never mind. You know the story. No, it's the bit right towards the end where Edward Norton shoots the gun in his mouth, stops, and then it comes up on screen, and it basically, actually, I'm gonna find it exactly what it says. Chinese ending of Fight. But basically, because the end of the movie is somewhat, nihilistic, and all this. So it just suddenly cuts, and then it says that a note basically saying that they rapidly figured out the whole plan, arrested all the criminals. So they basically said everything Project Mayhem didn't happen. The government prevented it, no problem. And Tyler Durden went to prison to have his mental health assessed and stuff like that. But just like imagine you've watched this whole movie and then just like sure, it just comes over and just like
might as well just say
it's just yada yada's the ending.
Yeah. dot the end. Yeah. Okay, into that.
You get it. Like he was arrested. It's fine.
I mean, is that better than the dodgeball ending?
Yeah, here we go. So this is the exact text is the police rapidly figured out the whole plan and arrested all criminals, successfully preventing the bomb from exploding. After the trial, Tyler was sent to a lunatic asylum, receiving psychological treatment. He was discharged from the hospital in 2012.
Oh, well.
I thought you were going to say Cornelius will return in Fight Club 2.
I am Jack's complete submission to the communist regime.
Yeah. That's so funny because it's not even, it's not even a Chinese government that's getting like blows. I don't know what. Very odd.
Maybe the Chinese government is a big fan of the city or state of Delaware.
Yeah.
Who after this
Delaware at all costs.
After this episode, who isn't?
Yeah.
Well, in particular, because only one movie in all three did my favorite thing regarding letting us know which state we're in, which it gave us a close-up of a license plate with Delaware written on it. Will, you came so close to not picking this movie.
Yeah.
And then you did. And boy, did it derail all of our weeks.
This movie broke my brain.
Wow. Wow, did it? Oh, right, by the way, we did mention Fight Club, shot in 1995, directed by David Fincher, starring Ed Norton, Brad Pitt, Hannah Bonham Carter, blah, 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 everybody.
Yeah.
Skip.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not important. It won't come up.
Will!
Yeah.
Tell us about your movie, Will.
I picked the 1980, is it 5? What, 1980? 87 classic. Everybody knows this one by heart. Hiding Out.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Superman 4's Jon Cryer. Famously. I think he's done a couple other movies.
One half of a man.
one half of a man. I came close to picking, I think it's Trigger Man by Ty West, like a horror film. But I saw the trailer for that. I'm like, I'm not in the mood to see like a shot on video horror movie.
It looked pretty
I like Ty West. I like X, but I was like, I'm not in the mood for that. So this was my backup plan. And wow, the backup plan ended up like, annihilating my brain. I just watched it today and I still can't.
I almost rewatched it because we had to push back our recording by like 90 minutes. And I was like, that's just enough time to give myself another go round of this truly confounding piece of shit movie.
I'll give you that. It sticks with you.
It does. Well, yeah, it does. Yeah. Much like statutory rape.
Oh
it
boy.
Sticks with me.
I was, my fear going into this, just reading like the basic like plot is I'm like, it's about a guy who is witness to a crime and must go into hiding as a high school student. He's not really forced into this, by the way. There's nothing that makes him like you have to pretend to be a high school student. He just kind of shows up to a high school and is like, all right, I'm gonna be a student.
This is my biggest, like, honestly, with movies, a big thing is always like the forced exposition scenes, the scenes that we like that explain what's going on. This movie had no exposition scenes whatsoever to explain anything.
No.
Things just happen. And it is confounding as to why this movie, it stars Jon Cryer, Annabeth Gish, who you recognize. She's played, I've seen her in a bunch of other
She's
stuff.
a baby in this movie.
As soon as, I know, but she's a baby that goes, oh, I know her at 50 years old. I know this woman.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen her.
She was in the North Carolina episode we did where they all go do the dancing on the beach.
That's right. She was in that movie. What was that one? The Story of Beth Troutman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Dirtier Dancing.
That's right. But this movie, directed by Bob Giraldi, who, apart from this, also directed a number of commercials, famously setting fire to Michael Jackson. He was the director of that.
So he's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
This guy can't miss.
Yeah.
But also, quite inexplicably, it has 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it tells the story, a guy, like audience, stick with me here, but it tells the story of a definitely 28, 29-year-old stockbroker who definitely doesn't have a glued-on beard, who apparently is maybe caught up in either he's observed or has been doing money laundering or something for the mob that tries to kill him. He ends up going to high school in Delaware with his cousin, where he romances and falls in love with a 17/18-year-old girl. The end? And in between...
Yeah. And in China, if you watch this, it doesn't even, it just cuts to that and has, they live happily ever after.
Yeah. They only had one child, though.
Yeah. Oh my God. We're gonna have to
But
talk
don't-
about this movie like minute by minute. We gotta like
Yeah.
maybe we save this one for
So
last because
we're going to save it for last.
it.
We're going to do 5 minutes on Empire Records, 5 minutes on Fight
Yeah.
Club, and 2.5 hours on Hiding Out. In fact, we're just going to watch the movie.
Those two movies are
Yes.
great. Moving on.
Right. You've seen them. They're good. You get it.
I mean, what can you say about Fight Club that hasn't already been talked about ad nauseum by millions of other people on case studies and video essays? Like, it's a great film. But I remember, I don't know about you guys. I remember I didn't see it in the theater. I remember seeing it on DVD probably, but the subculture that this movie spawned of like guys who wanted to embody that Tyler Durden character, I never got. Like just never was a part of me.
The subgroup of guys that completely missed the point of the movie. You mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, both of you.
So, I remember, it's funny, I remember it for two reasons. One was, I remember when I was at boarding school, I did a play.
You went to boarding school?
Yeah, I don't know if I never mentioned that. But the two other guys I did this play with were the year below me. And I was just walking through Guildford one day and I bumped into the pair of them and I was like, oh, what are you guys up to? And they go, actually, we're going to go see Fight Club. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll come along. But the reason I also remember it is because I went to see Fight Club and I saw an incredible trailer for some movie called The Matrix. And that's when I was but the Matrix trailer, the one that's like, it's got all this
Super Bowl trailer,
hip kind of music to it, blew my fucking mind. So I remember coming out of Fight Club going, that movie was great, but did you see the trailer for that Matrix thing?
Yeah.
What the hell was
I thought you were gonna say, you turned to both your friends, did you see that trailer, Tyler? Did you see that trailer, Tyler? Yes, because they were in your head.
But I saw this movie.
2 Tylers, Utah. 2.
I saw this movie in theaters. I also remember it's the very first movie, and I think the only movie I've ever watched with a commentary track, which I watched in Paris. I remember when I was staying with my sister. But so I remembered all these little tidbits, and it's kind of a fun movie to watch when you first watch it, and then when you rewatch it,
sure.
Okay, I'm not spoiling anything, but everyone knows Fight Club, and they know that Brad Pitt is imagination / id.
And still, even like seeing it again, like the reveal of that, knowing it's coming. It's how well it's acted to get like the two of them together. It's so good.
Yeah.
Just Brad Pitt wearing whatever insano outfit he's wearing, shaved head,
the porno shirt that he's wearing,
smoking a fucking cigarette. It's great. Really, really good characters.
He's so pretty.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, he's just such a good-looking guy that he went so actively against trying to not be attractive in movies, like with 12 Monkeys, and just like with
California.
Quentin Tarantino, I think, said the best thing that ever happened to Brad Pitt is he stopped being so pretty when he got older, and it's like so he could just be a character actor and do random shit now. Well, still
if you get a chance, look up. I think Mike Tyson did like a one-man show, kind of like a stand-up thing, but not really. Right? He talks about the first time he met Brad Pitt. And I believe at the time, Brad Pitt was with his, I'm going to butcher this because
do it while doing an impression of Mike Tyson.
No. I'll do it as
with
Rooster
a thing
Cogburn.
when I met Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I'm not going to. No. He's about to fight someone. I'm not getting into that. I see what he does to people on airplanes. I don't want no part of it. But no, he remembers seeing Brad Pitt in the car, like at a distance. He's like, that white boy's pretty. The highest praise you can get from Mike Tyson.
Yeah, as opposed to my other favorite Mike Tyson line, "I'll fuck you till you love me," which he said to a reporter or something at a press conference. That I'm like, wow.
I don't remember that line in Roadhouse.
It was in The Hangover. But so you're right. I mean, Ryan, you are not wrong. But at the same time, it's been a while since I've watched Fight Club, and it's just Fincher's just he's just throwing it all out there.
Yeah. It's the only Fincher movie I don't really go out of my way to watch. Like, but I don't have like cable. Like, it's one of those things, like if you have cable at home and you're channel surfing and it's on, like, you'll watch it. I don't really have that anymore. So now everything I watch is methodically chosen by whatever algorithm speaks to me. And this is just one of those movies I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. I get it. I don't really need to I'm not noticing new things over and over again because I've seen this film so many times. And it's still great. It holds up, and I really enjoyed watching it this week for this episode.
Yeah, I will say, it's probably because I do like the movie, but Now that you're saying that, and I'm thinking about the Fincher movies I rewatch. It is probably the one I rewatch. Well, I except for Alien 3, I never watched that. But the once was fine enough. But other than that, it's probably is the one I've rewatched the least.
Really?
Um,
I watched it a
think so.
ton. I watched it a ton when I was younger.
I did
You find a
before. I mean,
picture
like
of-
now.
Right,
I'm like,
yeah.
Find a picture
Yeah.
of 21, 22-year-old Ollie when he got started in modeling. He's got the same hair and same stupid little beard that Tyler Durden
Yeah,
has at the
yeah.
beginning. You wait.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
like, though I was
I'm
edgy,
going.
I
I'm
had
going for
pierced eyebrows.
Meatloaf's look in that movie. That's what I'm going with.
It's a good look.
Yeah,
It's
the Robert Paulson special.
but it's a movie that it moves at a clip. Once
Yeah.
it begins with seeing a character's synapses sparking, follows a bead of sweat out of a gland, down a forehead, along the sort of the barrel of a gun, all the way to revealing a character with a gun in his mouth.
It's such great use of him for as little CG as he uses is such an incredible shot. But I definitely noticed like the CG in this movie definitely felt dated in the sense that it had just this extra bit of polish and sheen to it because it was so new, considering how gritty this film is, comparing it to something like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo or even Gone Girl, where it's like the CGI that he's using is so invisible that you don't notice it. Whereas this, you're like, or Panic Room, when it has that camera fly through, it's almost too perfect,
Yeah,
Right.
well, it because the reason I think it's doing that, and it feels like that, is because in Panic Room and in Fight Club, it's doing impossible camera moves.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
So that camera would have to be the size of a needle. That camera, it's gone through something. You know what I mean? That camera wouldn't fit through there. So it's messing with our brain a little bit, like that. But I like it. I like the fact that
No, I thought it was great.
because the movie is weird. And so, like, from another one of those shots that I kind of like is that you kind of, what are we doing? Oh, and we reveal we've been in a trash can. It's like, it's that shot that takes it all the way out and it reveals the trash can with the Starbucks cup. And apparently they say every single shot in the film, there's a Starbucks cup or something like that.
Oh, really?
Scene, there's a Starbucks cup hidden somewhere in the shot or just being blatantly out there. But like, I remember because sort of the story of the movie was it didn't make enough money or as much money as they expected. Brad Pitt says,
and this came out after the game, I think.
Or
was this?
Yeah.
I can't remember looking it up. I was looking like, was this his blank check movie? Like, because it was this and then
think
7, but he did the game before.
The game is 97, so that's 2 years before, and I've still never seen that, guys.
What?
Oh, that's
a good one.
In my top tier.
Really?
That's a good.
It's not one of those ones that people really talk about when they talk Fincher.
It is kind of
also, and it's more like the game. Oh, he made that.
Yeah.
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 I really, really like that one.
It's another one I don't go out of my way to watch. Well, one, because it's not really readily available on anything unless you have it on, unless you have it on DVD. But it's one of those, like, once you've seen it, it's a difficult thing to rewatch because you already know, like, the ta-da reveal.
It's a Sixth Sense thing.
Kind of, yeah. It doesn't really warrant, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I do need to. I haven't seen it in forever,
Yeah,
but
Fight
I remember
Club's got
it
the same ta-da. You know what I mean? And I found
I
it
suppose you're
definitely
right,
more rewatchable. I think it's just because
so
it's
does Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fincher likes his ta-das, doesn't he?
Yeah. Spoiler alert: she's not even gone.
She is a girl though, so don't worry.
She is a girl. Title's half right.
But yeah, this was kind of like off the back of, Brad Pitt had been Brad Pitt in the 90s, so he's like pretty much one of the biggest guys out there. And then, like Edward Norton had kind of come like from nowhere with, was it something Fear? Help me out. What was the movie where he's with Richard Gere? And
it's not just called Fear? Is that
no,
not
that's
just
that Mark Wahlberg.
Oh.
Primal Fear.
Fear.com. That's what we're thinking.
Primal Fear, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, fear.com memory unlocked.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? A lot of the thing is that a lot of people forget, like Edward Norton came out of nowhere in 1996, and he was very much kind of billed as he was going to be the next big like actor. And so he was popping up and all this stuff. And so you've got Edward Norton in Fight Club, Brad Pitt in Fight Club, Helena Bonham Carter, and it's like, but the thing is, I loved it. Like I was definitely the right age, right time, right person.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
That I was like, oh, this is cool as shit. And then within what 6 months, I'm watching The Matrix as well. I go, ooh, wow, good year.
Yeah, 99, a year famous for having no movies. Do you think Tim Burton
forgotten
saw
year.
this movie, took one look at Helena Bonham Carter and said, yep, that's my life now. My whole career is going to be just movies that look like this character.
That's what I'm going to do. I thought it's a strange bit of casting, Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah,
another a perfect bit of casting.
She's so great in that.
Yeah, this the way she smokes a cigarette. Like for me, it's that shot of her where she's, well, maybe she doesn't know how to smoke a cigarette because all of the cigarette smoke is out of her mouth. Like it's just arcing perfectly.
It's just an aesthetic thing for her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All CGI shots. Helena Bonham Carter is not a real person. David Fincher invented her for this film.
That's why Tim Burton divorced her. He's like, oh, she's not real. I was wondering why she was never in bed with
man, I got Stepford Wives that did it.
But what I do like about this movie, I think once you do know the tada, is you go back and you're watching it and you're like, because I remember the reveal. I remember we've just lost cabin pressure. When she calls him Tyler over the phone. And like you've been getting a sort of suspicion, but I remember when I first watched the movie, that's not where my brain was going. I was more just caught up in the craziness of it all.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, boom.
There's still some stuff too that I remember not understanding at the time, and still even watching it now. I'm like, how is he dragging himself? Like when it shows you shots from like the CCTV cameras, like how is he dragging himself? How is he flinging him? Like it just. I get in the sense of the film. It doesn't really matter, but some of those things I'm like, he can't shoot. Towards the end, him and Tyler get into this fight, and he shoots at him, and he can't shoot him, but he can hit him with like a car antenna. So I don't understand how the physicality works in some of this.
But
it doesn't matter.
It is very much, it's all sort of just taking place in Edward Norton's head. I mean, one of those. What a really interesting scene to sort of watch is when they come out, it's pouring rain, long-term parking, Mr. Durden. So they get in a car and they're having a conversation in the front of the car, and the guys in the back of the car keep reacting to two things. But when you watch it again, the guy that turns up is talking to Edward Norton, doesn't look at Tyler.
I noticed that. Yeah.
When they get in the car, you realize that Edward Norton is saying both or maybe some of the things. So that's why the guys are answering a question from him. And then he's like telling them to shut up. And you see them getting kind of confused in the back. And then once the car wreck happens, you watch Tyler gets out and pulls Edward Norton out of the driver's side.
Right.
Just those little things like that when you're looking and you know how much of like a obsessive that Fincher is for detail.
Oh, yeah.
That when you sort of, it's same thing. Like it's that funny bit in the scene where, it's so-and-so, and you come home to this, and it's just the sound of fucking upstairs, and it's always just ridiculous. Whoa, just like slam, bang. It's like, it's so comedic. But then the second the phone rings, the sound of sex stops upstairs. He's disassociated. He's downstairs answering a phone, but he's actually upstairs. It's just those little things that if you try to find those, that doesn't make sense. You're actually very frustrated by, no, actually, bloody Fincher thought of all of it.
Yeah. So you're saying I'm just a stupid dum-dum. But it's done with intention. I get that. It's great. Like you're right. This is, like I said, I don't go out of my way to rewatch this movie, but it is very rewatchable because it's so packed with detail and nuance.
Like like when he calls Tyler, he doesn't answer the phone because Tyler's not real, but then the phone rings because he star 69'd him. And Brad Pitt, even on the phone, what is Brad Pitt doing? Eating chips into the phone.
Just as loud. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like every movie to the director, I've had eat something, and is this going to be your idea? You gonna eat something? Yeah, what a surprise. Okay, cool. Go and eat something, Brad. Like, all right, fine. Do you eat?
What am I eating in the scene?
So you're not. You're driving a car. What am I eating in this scene?
He's like, that wasn't a question.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys ever read the book? I've never read the book.
Yeah,
I've only read the novelization of the book
of the movie.
Will, what's your opinion then on the book versus movie? Is it different? Is it the same? Help me out.
Yeah, I like the movie better than the book. Not that the book isn't good, but it's Chuck Palahniuk's first book, and there's a lot of first novel kind of feelings in it. Like he puts a lot of emphasis, I think, in weird spots. I think the movie goes farther in a lot of ways, and even Chuck Palahniuk has said that. Like, I texted you guys, like, the thing that kills me is when they're in the sickle cell support group,
Yeah.
and even Chuck Palahniuk is like, I wasn't brave enough to put that in there. Like,
Yeah.
I left that out.
Yeah.
But there's a couple. It's mostly the same. There's a couple scenes that are out of order. If I remember correctly, I might be getting this mixed up because it's been a while. I think he meets Tyler Durden on a nudist beach. I think is where like they first meet.
You're thinking of Beetlejuice too.
That's what it is. Yeah. But I could be wrong. I could be getting it mixed up with something. But it's very, very similar. It's just I think the movie is more like another draft of the book where they polish a few things.
How do you actually say his name? I'm one of those people that I read his name and it's Chuck Palahniuk.
I think it's Chuck Palahniuk. That's how I've always said it.
Okay, Chuck Palahniuk.
Chuck Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's his actual name.
Oh,
So he says he came up with the idea for the novel after being beaten up on a camping trip when he complained to some people about turning down their radio, and then nobody asked about his injuries at work because that would require actually having a connection with someone, which is interesting. But he says he found the film to be an improvement on his novel, which is not many people will say that.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
And he's a really good, like, I've read some, after that I read some more of his books. They've increasingly got more and more bizarre, still good but weirder. But he's an author who has been pretty put a lot of praise on the adaptations of his stuff. He really liked the movie Choke, which is based off his book. So he very much likes this. I think
Sam Rockwell movie.
Yeah, which is really good, good book, really good movie. It captures really kind of what the book was going for. It's one of the better adaptations I've ever seen.
Nice.
So I'm reading. So these are sort of famous things that people know about the movie. I like dropping them in there. The bit where Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are drunk and hitting golf balls. They are actually just drunk and hitting golf balls, and they just like turn the camera on them, like they were just dicking around in between. Famously, as well, Edward Norton actually hit Brad in the ear. Like, So if you look at Edward Norton, you can kind of see him cracking up a little bit because that was Fincher's idea as well. But this is my favorite one. I didn't know this. Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter spent 3 days recording orgasmic sounds for their unseen sex scenes. That must have been such a funny day of work.
We're doing what today?
Oh, and then, okay, so this is the one. So I never remember it. I've just found it. Do you guys remember the line? So there is a controversial line that Helena Bonham Carter says. She says, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I remember correctly, it was basically that, like, the studio was like, the original line was too far. And they go, all right, I'll change the line. But if I change the line, I get to keep it. And they got to keep that one. Do you guys remember the original line?
I do, yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Go on. What is it?
I was like, she says something to the effect of, I want to have your abortion, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we talked about this and I was like, wait, I for some reason remember it the other way where the original, like the line they changed it to or something like that. I thought it was flipped around where the first line was like far worse.
That's right. There you go.
That's what I thought.
No, you're right. You are correct. So yes, when they said that's too far, they were like, all right, do the abortion line.
Yeah. And he's like, nope.
And as you know, America famously chill about that subject in every way. No one.
No controversy whatsoever.
None at all. But the thing about it is it's like, wait a minute, this is great. Okay, sorry, I found an interesting fact that is far too interesting to not talk about. At least it's interesting to me. So the bit where he's in his cave, his power cave or whatever, right? And then there's the little penguin.
Mm-hmm.
So the visible breath in the cave scene is recycled Leonardo DiCaprio breath from Titanic.
Oh, shit. Huh. What?
So that's some savings for you right there.
They bottled it? Like, what do you mean?
I know. But one day we have to figure out how to do Titanic so we can talk about the fact, and it's something that honestly I don't think gets talked about enough. But
it's
how
like
the entire
canned air from Spaceballs, they just like have cans of it, and they're just like.
The fact that in Titanic the entire cast and crew all got drugged. Someone put PCP in the food, and everybody got high. on set. Some people had ended up in hospital, and I'm like,
PCP, what?
I feel like there should be a podcast about, like, if there's ever a true crime podcast I want to hear.
I feel like that should do that for more movies.
Well, I think they did it for one called Hiding Out.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
Oh, it was the 80s. It was legal. PCP was legal back then.
Oh
Right.
yeah, sure. As was
It was in Kellogg cereal. Yeah.
Right.
statutory rape, apparently. Yeah, the thing is, like I said, you know what? You're right. Millions of people have talked about Fight Club endlessly. Is there anything else you want to get into quickly? Because, like I said, this is one of those ones I could definitely move.
I do remember the DVD case of this being like really cool. Like it looked like the like
soap.
paper bag wrap. The
Yeah.
soap, right? I remember
Yes.
wanting that bar of soap again. Like I think this movie had such like cultural relevance at the time, but like you're saying, I think people definitely took the wrong messaging from it. But I
Yeah.
remember wanting like certain things from, like, definitely wanted the bar of soap, or there's the one scene that always makes me fucking audibly gag is when they're
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
they're pulling they're
human
taking the
fat.
they're taking the liposuction fat out of the
And
thing,
it gets
and
caught on the
the
barbed
bag
wire.
rips, and he just like tries to catch it. It's just
And then he
so
slips.
gross. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Good
It's
comedy.
fucking disgusting. But yeah, this movie is funny. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know?
well, I like I like a movie, and honestly, two of the movies that we have people that address camera directly. You know, so we've got Edward Norton talking to camera, and when he's talking about Brad
Right.
Pitt, oh, he was the terrorist. You know, like he's just dropping bread in the background, or he's peeing into
Kissing
some
and stuff,
stuff, and and Edward Norton's just there. And it's
Yeah.
what's weird about it is that kind of actually works. That because Edward Norton is there,
Right.
He's just disassociating to talk to an imaginary movie, that kind of thing.
Another visual gag I love is when he first picks up the phone when Marla calls, Brad Pitt in the background with the nunchucks. That's fucking gold.
Yeah.
I was laughing. That's the thing, 'cause this
screaming, I'm
movie, it is funny.
Yeah.
This movie is shocking
Yeah.
and violent and everything else, but they're like 100%. I was like going, Brad Pitt's a funny guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just
He's a real Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Larry
I
Hemsworth.
remember this movie because I think, I saw it on DVD. That was the first time I went to a friend's house and they had it. So it's definitely the first time I saw it. And then like immediately after, listened to the commentary for it. And this is where I learned that Brad Pitt was kind of a cool dude, because on the commentary, he's like, I'm not even going to talk about the movie. I'm just going to make jokes like the Mystery Science Theater guys. And I was like, Brad Pitt watches Mystery Science Theater?
And he brought his own nunchucks? What?
Man, this is the coolest guy who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing the commentary. It was quite funny because I remember, like I said, when I listened to it, I guess it was in 2002 or something, 2001. But like, it's Norton, Fincher, and Brad Pitt, and the very first thing is like, Brad's like, "Fuck, Fincher, why is it so dark?" Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? It's like you can barely see anything. It's like so they're just kind of like roasting each other and having kind of fun. I put it on going. I've never listened to it like a commentary track before, so I go, all right, well, it's a 2-hour, 40-minute movie. I'm not going to watch the whole. I watched the whole thing within the first. Within the first 5-10 minutes, it's like, oh, this is actually very entertaining. I quite enjoy this. I will keep
I do
doing
miss that. I do the one thing I do miss about like not having, because I don't have, I really didn't go down the physical media like rabbit hole, because I know I don't have the space for it, and two, I just know I would be flat broke. But I do miss having those DVD extras, whatever they may be. I think I remember buying like the Terminator 2 special edition in the early 2000s with the metal case, and it had that extra disc of like the scenes they cut out and all that stuff. Like I miss
100%.
I miss all that stuff.
So like when I buy them digitally, and trust me, I wish I was Will, but I also move a lot.
We all do. We all do.
I don't know. I just bought
we've both
discs.
gone on record
I
saying
am going financially broke. Yeah. Honestly, I will never financially recover from this.
I don't care. I'm still jealous. But like, is that because I like to rewatch movies I like, and I like to get into the behind the scenes. That's why I watch Corridor Crew on YouTube. That's why I do a movie podcast about behind the scenes about movies.
You do? You do? Is there a different podcast?
You should listen to it. It's great. But like, it's also, I will sit and I just love to watch, you know, how movies are made, you know, the idea of, I love Christopher Nolan behind the scenes. That's why, like, I just watched, considering when we did it on the podcast, my one comment that I made about Oppenheimer is, I'm not going to buy it because I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. I watched it for the 7th time yesterday. So I'm like,
Man.
what is wrong with me?
Look at this guy with fucking free time.
And I'm just like, I know. Can you tell I'm unemployed? But like, it's just, I need to, I honestly, I'm like, I need to buy it so I can watch behind the scenes. I want to watch.
So you bought it. So you bought it on disc, but you still don't have.
No, I don't. I didn't even buy it. I'm currently. I watched it on Paramount because they have Paramount, and that is definitely my Paramount FBI. Don't listen to me or anybody else.
They have the extras or no?
No, that's what I mean.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
that's what I mean is that I'm like, do I?
Why would it wouldn't be so hard for like Netflix because they have all of the audio tracks? Why wouldn't they just have like an additional?
That's always been confusing to me. Why
maybe it's a legal thing. I don't know.
So
I mean, I miss. I do. You know, and I feel like in the last couple of years with physical media, they've gone back to including those extras. There was like a good 5-7 year period where they were just straight up releasing the movie with like very, very little extras.
It just comes with like the trailer for that movie and another movie.
Well, they had this thing with Blu-rays that then your Blu-ray player had to be connected to the internet and it would give you access to stuff, and it just never worked. It was bullshit.
Absolute worst.
Blu-ray tokens, fuck off.
But like, I mean, I think a lot of people got into filmmaking specifically because of these behind the scenes things.
100%.
And like some of my favorites are like, if you ever watch, I think this was on the Phantom Menace. I don't know if it's on the Blu-ray, but definitely on the DVD, it came with a documentary of the making of Phantom Menace. So much better than that horrible film. But it's a doc. I recommend anybody who's like interested in filmmaking watch it. I think it's on YouTube. It's fascinating because I can't believe Lucasfilm put it out. Like, because you actually see like people kind of like looking at George Lucas like, should we do this? Like, do you want to cast a child as Anakin? Like, they show you the actors who auditioned for Anakin. One kid is the clear front runner, and Lucas goes with Jake Lloyd. And you're just sitting there like, what is happening?
So was it Adam Driver?
You want to make that? Yeah, it's young Adam Driver.
Yeah,
that's why he got redeemed. He came back.
That's right.
But it's like, oh, so you want to make the Trade Federation kind of a racial stereotype of Asian people speaking English? And wait a minute, just to be clear, George, you want Jar Jar Binks to basically be a Rastafarian?
He's like, don't worry. 10 years from now, people will notice all the little ETs. That's all. It's the only takeaway from that.
It's just amazing because you see like a screening where they watch the first cut before they've made any edits, the assembly cut essentially. They all sit down. It's all the department heads. Everybody sits down to watch it. The movie ends and there's silence.
Yeah.
And like a long period. And Lucas just kind of sits there and goes, I think I went too far in some areas. And then again, just you could hear a pin drop. And I'm like, Lucas put out this documentary. This isn't like an unofficial thing. And they used to do stuff like that for extras, like just straight up. I will say the Last Jedi documentary is also really good. That is another one where I'm like, wow, that's
the director
that's
and
a
the
surprisingly
Jedi
honest one
or something, right? Yeah, it's very good. It gets into like, because I think Will and I are on the same train on this one. That is one of the best Star Wars movies ever made.
Oh yeah.
And you know, there's a whole bunch of people going, "It's the worst Star Wars movie ever made." And I'm like, "What? You're crazy."
Crazy, yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, you get into that. It's really interesting. Gets into how like Luke is just like Mark Hamill is like, he doesn't believe that's what Luke would do, and you're there with an excellent director, and he's like, they sit down and they talk it through. I think you're right, Will. I love that we're talking behind the scenes, and you know what? I'm going to keep talking because by far the best ever behind the scenes extras ever done by anyone in the world ever is with the extended Lord of the Rings. There are you'd get when I had the DVDs because we got them now Blu-ray, but like you came with 2 DVDs for the movie and 2 DVDs of special features for each movie. Yeah. It was like, oh, do you want 23 hours of special features? Because we've got it for you. Yeah. Do you want? I was like,
it's such a genius marketing move because like however much money those movies made at theaters, they made probably 2 or 3 times that much just
for sure
on those extended edition DVDs.
And they're talking about re-releasing, but I'm just like the special features, like you're saying, Will, because you are so right that the reason I watch this stuff is because one day I've been in movies, I've done little bit parts and stuff like that. You've made movies, you've written movies, you've done short films and stuff like that. It's just so fascinating when you see, like, you get into the detail of someone has to figure out that all of this armor is made by hand and all of these swords are how they're made. And someone is like figuring out how to like, well, we've all got to be in this part of New Zealand and this part and how they've just databases.
I picture
how
like
you got paid and it's
I picture a tax man sitting at like with an overhead light and a green visor, like typing all this shit in.
There
Peter
is
Jackson
cooking
just belling out
the
like...
books for the studio. Yeah.
But there is that 20-minute, 25-minute documentary about the person that handles everyone getting paid for the movie. It's like, I have a dude, this person does the cleaning and this person logistics and this person is a lead actor. It's insane.
And it's also, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, behind the scenes documentaries like that are so essential, because I can't tell you what a comfort it is to see, like, going back to the episode 1 documentary where they're getting a call like an hour before call time. And it's like, oh yeah, we're in Tunisia. By the way, there was a storm last night, wiped out half our sets. And you're just looking at Lucas sitting there looking at a destroyed set like, okay, all right, I guess we got to figure that out. And I'm like,
a big green screen. In fact, let's do it for the rest of all of the movies.
Yes. you learned quickly why Lucas was like, okay, no more of this. I'm just going to build a virtual.
You can see him off to the side. He's like, hey, Steven, yeah, it's me. What did you do with the shark?
Yeah.
Oh,
we've essentially become the blank check podcast by taking a 25 minutes sort of like
yeah.
I was gonna say, when you guys are done jerking each other off, we got another movie to talk about.
All right, I'm riding the ship. We'll stop nerding out about special features.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, you fucking nerds.
I feel like I just re-blew my virginity.
I could smell it. Jon Cryer has entered the chat.
No. Oh my god! I can't wait to talk about this movie. We're not going to though. So okay,
shit! God damn it!
Look, everybody that's, if you're watching or listening, look, Fight Club's a cool movie. You should watch it. Everybody knows about Fight Club. Fuck it, we're moving on. Let's talk about Empire Records quickly, because this movie.
Remember record stores? Moving on.
I do love when we have a week like this where there's one movie that's just essentially consumed us for the whole week. It's Witches of Eastwick, it's The Wraith, it's like it's a Hard Ticket to Hawaii, it's Stone Cold. It's just I'm like, oh my god, what happened this week? But no, let us for a little bit, like we touched on it a little bit, that this movie was a massive bomb. Which is so strange to me because I've watched it 600 times.
Yeah.
And it's it was such a big part of being a teenager for me. And I just had it on VHS and I just assumed everybody likes it. But the thing is, I've never met someone of my age that doesn't like it.
Yeah.
For sure. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then I'm like, why did none of us go and watch this movie in theaters?
I do wonder, like, when you, Will, did you see it when you were younger too?
I saw it. I rented this in Clerks from the video store, I think in the same weekend. I think I was in middle school.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would have been like the late 90s. So it was a couple years after the movie came out.
I have to add, like, because when I saw this movie when I was younger, I definitely associated myself with like a certain character archetype from this film. And now that I'm older, it's a very different vibe. Like I'm seeing it through like Joe's eyes, for example, now that I'm basically his age. I'm like, these fucking kids are ruining my life.
Me too. So you're so right. I watched this movie for the first time.
Because he's like the dad, he's like the dad.
I'm Joe. And I'm like going, so Joe, Anthony Paglia's character, like you'd think he owns it, but he doesn't.
Not Treat Williams, by the way.
He is the manager. He is the manager of Empire Records. It's almost like sort of like post-high school, pre-college teen therapy. I mean, like, I think his line, one of my favorite lines, that he goes, have I fired anyone else today?
Yeah.
Stealing $9,000 or being a drug addict or fucking Rex Manning? It's like, I'm going to stop.
Still, like, how is this store bringing in $9,000? This store in Delaware
Yeah.
We do need to talk. We do need to talk very quickly about the business sort of financials of this, because it's a record
get
store.
into
It makes $9,000 in one day.
And this is the day before Rex Manning Day.
Yes.
Arguably the biggest day of the year.
So, but then if that $9,000 isn't deposited into the bank, the business will fold, as far as I understand. And then at the owner basically just sells him the business for $9,000 in loose cash.
Cash, yeah. And the guy just casually holding a bucket of money.
The thing is,
I'll take it for you.
Good way. What I like is that the Chinese version of this movie.
Oh shit! Here we go. Here we go.
Towards the end, right towards the end, before they're all dancing and it's got that song saying everything's kind of worked out and the credits start. It actually cuts the credits and then an announcer says, "In a few years, LimeWire and Napster are going to destroy, and everybody goes broke. Joe kills himself."
Fucking, you hit me with the LimeWire ending.
There was somebody in the crowd. They're like, "Hey, Sean Parker, the guy who's creating Napster, what are you doing here tonight?" He's like, "I've got an idea."
So, the thing is, though, what it does, like I said, I talked before. This is just more like about watching it. Is remembering record stores.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so as we kind of touched on, so it was famously written by why I say famously, this movie that no one went to see, that no one knows anything about.
But everyone knows it now.
Right. Yeah. But it was written by someone from her experiences at Tower Records in Phoenix, Arizona, the Tower Records that shut in 2005 because, spoiler alert, Napster. But it felt very real and it felt very genuine. And then so like this tiny bit in the movie, but again, I know every word. But it was Eddie sort of stoner Eddie. But he's just talking to a young kid and he's just talking about this album or music and how it's just that if you wanted to find music, you had to physically go. There's no Googling it. And there's no, like even when you got LimeWire, it's like you're trying to find a song, but you're also maybe going to get computer aids. So it's like no idea what you're downloading.
You had to go to a store and get yelled at by John Cusack. That's the only way.
No, but that's what I mean is that you had these sort of gatekeepers to music, or you had people that this is their thing, their passion. So they work in a record store, not necessarily just to make money, but because they love music and they love bands, and people would come in and you're like, oh, have we ever heard of this? It's just that whole kind of vibe.
I watched this movie thinking like, oh my God, these were like the coolest people that you could find, like that were slightly older than you, had like the most kick-ass job at maybe one of the coolest record stores you've ever seen. Record stores.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I've been to Amoeba. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but it just doesn't have that.
Oh, nowhere near this cool. Yeah. I go to Amoeba a lot. It's not this banging.
And everyone
people aren't fucking in the music listening lounge.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but they're not Liv Tyler attractive.
Right.
Oh, by the way,
and they don't work there.
I only just learned this. So Coyote Shivers is a guy famously from this movie that sings a song.
Obviously,
that is better with Renee Zellweger's version, because his version is on the soundtrack, and I keep waiting for Renee Zellweger's to turn up.
You can find it. It's out there, I think.
Yeah, but it's not on the CD.
No, it's not.
Which I definitely had to
CD. What are you, 90?
Yes, I am 43. Coyote Shivers was married to Bebe Buell at the time. Which technically made him Liv Tyler's stepfather.
Oh yeah, right. I remember the trivia. I also realized that it was actually Renee Zellweger singing. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can tell it's her, but it's also like no surprise that she goes on to do Chicago and stuff like that. She's talented. My missus is not the biggest fan of Renee Zellweger. Considering she's Texan. But like it's the way that during the 2000s that every picture of Renee Zellweger looked like this.
Yeah.
On the red carpet. The thing is, I know that there are, literally hundreds of people that listen to this podcast instead of watch it. But you all know the face I just made, though. If you've ever, like the Renee Zellweger on red carpet face was something that like Mrs. she's like, I don't get it. It's just
resting Zellweger face. Yeah.
Resting Zellweger face.
Right. So I would get her mixed up with the
chick from Biodome.
From Biodome,
Who's also
in Chasing Amy.
In
Chasing Amy.
Yeah, Joey Lauren Adams.
Yes. They could definitely be sisters. 100% be sisters. Considering how I was sort of going on to you guys about, like I say, the first 45 minutes is because honestly, yes. So the second half of the movie, it just becomes, I guess you could just a contrivance of let's wrap up stories and have people have their emotional little moments or their arcs or whatever, and then all right, let's play some music and boom, we save the empire, yay, the end. But that first 45 minutes of just banter and and I told you, just slick editing and writing is
I love that. Sorry, go ahead.
Very quickly is that severely edited in post-production, cut 40 minutes and 3 major characters out of the film and condensed a 2-day story into 1 day.
Yeah.
And I'm wow. Considering, because I watched, hey, spoiler alert, I watched behind the scenes and I was watching the feature length behind the scenes of Top Gun. Is the guy, they were talking about how that movie was completely saved in the edit. How the original cut of the movie made...
the original Top Gun, yeah.
The original Top Gun made no sense whatsoever. And they just, all of those banter scenes when they're in planes and they're talking to each other, it was all done afterwards and it was all done in the edit. They said, that movie made sense.
Well, that movie famously started out as a volleyball film. And then they just added the jets in.
Some more jets.
Yeah.
And then it's like the famous kissing scene, the do. It's backlit because they look completely different because they've both come from other movies that they're working on. And the same bit where they have that scene in the lift, like he's got wet hair to hide the fact that his hair is 3 inches longer and she's wearing a baseball cap because she's shooting a completely different movie at the time. And you watch Top Gun and the guy was doing it, he's one of the producers of Top Gun. He goes, no one knows it, because it was just a movie that worked, but it should have won the Oscar for best editing.
Wow,
That's no
awesome.
one knows how much that was changed. And this seems like it's the same thing with Empire Records. Granted, one is Top Gun, it made $1 gajillion. One is Empire Records, it made $3.
What was the budget of this movie?
Of this movie?
Yeah.
$100 million. It's like What Lies Beneath.
The budget was $10 million, it made $300,000. It made less money.
Jesus Christ.
It had to have made that back though in VHS.
Oh, I'm sure. But I wonder,
by now it had to have made its money.
I'm agreeing with you, and and that's kind of it's something Matt Damon was talking about. He goes, the reason we don't get there's a whole section of movies we don't get anymore, which are these sort of like the mid-tier movies. You either made massive movies or tiny movies, because what you used to do is you'd release it, kind of get some theatrical, but you'd make your movie in home video sales, DVDs, Blu-ray, stuff like that. It doesn't happen anymore. Which is why now it's just like you either get all of the movie up front from a profit up front from a streamer, or you just.
That's why everything's a shitty sequel or a reboot or an animated Mufasa movie. Sure.
Yeah, but that's something directed by the director of Moonlighting or something like that massive one.
Yeah, Barry Jenkins. Yeah, directing. It.
Moonlight, not Moonlight.
Moonlight, yeah. I
was like, what?
Still the Shepherd, Mufasa.
The Chinese version of Moonlight, okay, just FYI.
He was not gay the entire time. Like,
imagine if Lion King had the dodgeball ending. Fuck.
Oh shit! I literally almost fell out of my chair. But what were we even talking about before you said that?
The Star Wars Director's Cut DVD.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we were talking about George Lucas, right?
No, so just to go back to the I really, it was, if you say his name, Lucas is the beatnik kid from the beginning who gambles the money, right?
Yes.
Well, I thought that was like the coolest fucking character when I first saw this movie, and I'm like, this person is irresponsible.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be handled. And then
as an adult, you're like, is he insane? Like, what is
like
going
weird
on?
thing too, like where he only became that weird beatnik character like the day before, like that. I don't know why that was stuck in my head, but I mean, we talked about it on the Family Stone, like how it had all of these like little, pocketed stories. We kind of wish there was just like a little bit more to tie them all together. And this movie fucking does that. Like there's so many characters, there's so much overlap, and it somehow works really well.
Yeah.
Can I posit something?
No.
I'm going to anyway. While I was at boarding, no, I'm kidding. But
here we go.
Is this movie completely basically a Jacob's Ladder scenario of
Lucas is dying in a ditch.
Here we go.
Lucas's character takes all the money, right? He goes to Las Vegas And suddenly,
Atlantic City.
yeah, sorry, Atlantic City.
That'd
Thank
be
you.
a
That's
far
another thing.
drive.
Is it? How far is Delaware from Atlantic City? I do not know.
It's like an hour and a half.
See, there you go. I'm learning. I'm learning geography.
I had to look that up because when I'm like, wait a minute, it goes to Atlantic City. I mean, it depends if he's in like Wilmington or something. It depends because you have to like loop around. I did the one bit of research I did. I'm like, if this is set in Delaware, if this is set in Delaware, I'm like, how on a motorcycle he goes there and back in one night. So I mean, it couldn't have been that far.
This is my theory that he goes to Atlantic City. Suddenly, he's a magical being that is predicting, 22 black. He's pulling things, they're winning, right? He's like, so I just roll a 7, right? He's winning. Oh, baby, you are sex. Like I said, I know every word of this movie.
Fucking weird line in that movie.
Yeah, but like,
so weird.
But did he actually die in a motorbike accident on the way to Atlantic City? Which is now why he's a magical being communicating to a camera that isn't there to tell this magical story about how Empire Records and every one of his friends' problems are solved by the end of this movie.
Better movie. Yeah.
Maybe also, that's in the 40 minutes that's been cut out.
Project Mayhem, just to get back on track here.
One thing, and I did mention it though, is that part of you worries that it's a movie you loved so much because you see how much little money this thing makes. Is that
you keep saying it?
Yeah, I know, but because I'm surprised because this movie, I must honestly, if I was paying the money every time I watched the movie, they would have made.
What do you think this is? What Lies Beneath? Come on. Just throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at this thing.
I just find again. I know I keep saying the first 45 minutes, but I mean no joke. That is a very, very confidently directed 45 minutes of cutaways and sound effects and moments and jokes and callbacks and everything else in between that I'm like, I just don't I always feel like this movie doesn't get enough credit. I'm just one of those guys. I'm a little cheerleader for Empire Records, I guess.
It's so funny. I didn't watch this again with the edit in mind. And next time I do watch it, I'm definitely going to think of that. But what you're saying, it sounds like almost like an Edgar Wright type of film where it moves to the beat of jazz, so to speak. Like it's just kind of the way it's edited. It just kind of feels like music, which I think adds to the film. Yes.
And I like the way you said it because you watch Edgar Wright movies because then when he writes them, he's writing with whip pans and sound effects and things like that. Yeah. And that's all in that first sort of like bit of the movie of things are happening, sound effects are happening, people are thinking about it, bing, it pops into their head. It's just all those little touches. Yeah. And then on top of that, kind of like how we touched on the Family Stone last week about how they felt very in their characters. They felt a genuine family.
For sure.
Like this, they all felt like they genuinely did work together.
Yeah.
They
even when Warren comes in like a new character, they kind of embrace him, and he definitely feels like a part of this crew. I think watching this, we were all Warrens watching this when we were young because we wanted so bad to be a part of this group.
1,000%.
I totally, and
that's why I only go to record stores with loaded weapons now.
Yes,
which in Arizona you're allowed to do.
Yeah, well, and Delaware apparently.
It's encouraged.
But like, but Joe Anthony Paglia's character, like the level of leeway this guy gives for honestly, it's fun.
The most patient fucking man.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just
with everything to lose.
To quote Fight Club, calm as a Hindu cow. Is like just Joe would just hire anybody. It's like, oh, this troubled kid that came in, and it's like, say it into my gun. I love Warren. Warren is one of my favorite characters. Stop saying Warren. My name isn't fucking Warren. And it's that whole, his name isn't Warren? His name isn't Warren? I thought his name was Warren. I just it's a funny movie.
So good. And then I think one of the characters that was cut was supposed to be his sister. Did I read that?
Warren's sister?
Yeah, she like you mentioned like 40 minutes were cut, other characters were cut. I think his sister was one of the characters. I can't even imagine what that would bring to the table.
She came in with 2 guns.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. She chopped him off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get, I mean,
was she called Sybil? That would have been the whole like Bonnie and Clyde. Deep cut. I watch movies. I was just reading it.
You're old.
Yeah, fucking old. This is cold, but also I can see this. Variety called Empire Records a soundtrack in search of a movie.
Oh, well, I mean, I mean, it's not wrong.
I mean, I get it as a good line, but also fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those movies. I would argue, it. I think maybe part of the reason this didn't take off as well, because like I said, I watched this. My mom was watching this next to me. I'm back home in Arizona watching these, and she was not vibing with this at all. She did not enjoy a bit of this movie.
But she was really into Rex Manning.
Say no more.
I don't know. It's for my mom.
He's like, why is that character a joke? It's the only one that makes sense. Yeah.
He's so cute.
No, but I think maybe if this movie was going to be a bigger success, there's probably too many characters with their own storylines in this movie for like general audiences. So maybe like for this to be a cleaner, because I think you're right. I think after 45 minutes, it's not as like cohesive. It doesn't hit on all cylinders from that point on. So it could have been cleaned up a little bit there. That being said, I love all the characters in this movie, and I love like how it all plays out. So even though this technically my suggestions might make it a a better movie,
that's true.
I don't want it. I like this.
I don't know. I like the ensemble. It feels like Friends.
I like this way
better. The dynamic. You get the six core group, and then you pepper in your Debbie Mazers and your Warrens.
Yes.
And your Mitchells.
Yeah.
Mitch. Mitch. We talk about Debbie Mazer's character. Yeah. Debbie Mazer's character in this is amazing, and her wig is absolutely insane. Seeing her with that orange wig and piercing eyes, that she's a slave to her job, and she quits immediately.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm out.
And I'm in a Joe. And the thing is, that's what I mean is like, I'm with you, Will. I'm with you. And exactly what you mean is that it would have maybe sort of sucked in a movie I didn't like so much, or characters I wasn't invested in, that when they go, all right, fine, Robin Tunney's character kind of tried to kill herself, but all right, they've all connected, and Liv Tyler might be on drugs, but we've addressed that, and Renée Zellweger, okay, fine, I live out loud, I'm a little bit slutty, but so what, it's who I am, and it's always about her, but we can still be friends. AJ confesses his love, Joe gets the record store, Warren gets, like a job, and I'm like, and then Renée Zellweger does, I've always wanted to sing in a band, guess what she does 5 minutes later, boom, and I'm like, I don't care, I feel good.
All the while, Ethan Embry's just eating pot brownies and putting himself into GWAR videos.
Yeah.
Great.
He was my favorite character in the movie. That's the one where I was like, as a kid, I'm like, I want to be that guy. It didn't work out. I ended up being Dante from Clerks. That ended up being my life. But I wanted to be Ethan Embry.
But you got a real Coyote Shivers thing going on right now. So
just carry a guitar with you at all times.
All times. Yeah. Just he walks in. Does he work in this store? Does Eddie work in this store? It's kind of like
everyone's hours
unclear.
It's kind of like a social club / so you're there when you're not working.
Yeah. Right.
And then when you work, you just go and do it for money.
Which just makes it such a cool place to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to hang out there.
I want to work.
I want to glue coins to the floor because it's my art.
Yeah. I don't feel the need to explain my art to you, Warren.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, the amount of quotes from this movie that so this was like a pre-Mrs. movie. This is a movie I used to watch all the time with one of my ex-girlfriend. But even now, like anytime my girlfriend at the time said the word orange, she would say it like Ethan Embry or like Renée Zellweger when they're doing the whole who's going to get orange. It's just all these little things that just blend in.
I really latched on to Lucas's character when I was young because I like that cynical kind of that vibe.
Cynical?
Yeah. I know.
Weird.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're just so chill and calm and upbeat and about everything.
Where did I put that $9,000? But the bit where he's going through all of the compact discs that Warren has stolen, he's like rap, metal, rap, Whitney Houston. He's like, it's for my girlfriend. Sure it is. I just like that. Like his line delivery was so great. Like, he's such a great character, and he can't leave the couch, so he brings the couch cushion with. Like, I love everything about this movie. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't have done well. I think a lot of it has to do with like when it was released or what it was up against.
It's a real mystery to me because it was bang on.
It was only released in Delaware.
But
that was their mistake.
But it was bang on for hitting what the sort of mid to late 90s was. The way they were dressed, the vibe they were into, the rejection of the whole Rex Manning vibe. The fact that the music they were all into. So like another one.
They're all anti-consumerism, but they work for a record store.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a record store where you can take drugs, do drugs, be addicted to speed, and fuck someone, and you're fine.
Yeah, or it's a
Shoot
record
myself?
store you can work in. Like, hey, if in the middle of the day and in the middle of Rex Manning Day and it's fucking slammed and you have hundreds of people in the store, you want to take time to have an impromptu pretendo funeral? Fucking let's do it. Yeah.
Do it. I would work there.
Yeah.
Do it.
I love how upset she was that none of them were talking about her.
Yeah.
Just talking about their other fucking problems. That's great.
It's my fucking funeral.
Oh, it was great. The tidbit of information, the one tidbit of information I remember from this is that Robin Tunney,
Yes.
Tunney actually shaved her head.
Yes.
So much so that when she went to do the craft, she was wearing the worst fucking wig they could have ever put on another human being.
Just about to say that's why her wig in the craft is so bad.
It's so bad.
This is again two movies, Empire Records and Fight Club, where people talk direct to the camera, and two movies where there is someone actually shaving their head in the movie. Because you got the first guy that joins Project Mayhem shaving his head like a monkey, slap. And that slap looked like it hurt, by the way.
Oh yeah,
he definitely did that for real.
But it's Brad Pitt, so you're like, I'll let it slide.
Yeah,
it's like Brad Pitt slapped me. Yeah.
Brad Pitt had to take a break from eating on camera to slap someone.
This movie, it really made a super impression on me. Like watching this and Clerks in the same weekend. I was telling you guys over text, like this is what made me be like, I want to work at a record store, a video store, something like this. And unfortunately, that ended up being more like Clerks than like Empire Records. But still,
I mean, you go to record stores and you go to video stores.
I do,
so
yeah. And it's I hope people do live near record stores still. Like I know vinyl's come back in a big way.
Yes, it has. Gen Z has brought it back.
Yeah, which like thank God, because
can't afford a house, can't afford a car, but you have like $1,000 hi-fi system. Great.
The great thing about it. No, it's not even that, man. So my daughter has like probably about 6-7 records. She doesn't have a fucking record player. She just puts them up on the walls and shit. It's like,
I mean, that's the thing.
You can't make fun of her, man. You don't have a fucking Blu-ray player. Like, where do you get the fucking audacity?
And I watched Oppenheimer for the 7th time because I had nothing to do yesterday.
on an iPod Nano.
The way it was supposed to be watched. That's what
Christopher Nolan's just crying.
Said,
that is Robert Downey Jr. doing your best Renee Zellweger face, just staring into your little rectangle.
Oh man, who would have thought that Delaware would have been one of my favorite episodes? Because guess what we're about to do, guys?
Oh my God!
Time to talk about it's time to talk about.
To be clear, we're gonna go through this film minute by minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
All 100 and all
There's no
100
other way to
minutes
dissect this movie.
We could do it minute for minute if I could remember anything about this movie, really, because I was just furiously texting you guys as I'm watching it, and just so confused. Okay, so the movie Hiding Out, we're going to do it.
The movie it opens in Boston.
Does it? It does. It does.
Yeah.
With Jon Cryer at 22. Playing a 28/29-year-old with a stuck-on beard that might be the worst, most unrealistic-looking beard I've ever seen in my life.
It's like if you were a kid trying to sneak into an R-rated film in 1987.
Yeah, actually, Jon Cryer was actually 11 in this movie, and he's on the shoulders of Charlie Sheen in a long jacket for the whole movie.
What's his name? Adult Man from BoJack Horseman.
From the beginning of this movie, I started wondering if did I
the wrong movie?
No, but did I miss something? Did I? Like,
because it opens.
Because
it opens with him.
He's just
in traffic. He's going to work, but he's not dressed for work. Him and his two buddies, they're wearing it looks like gym gear, but then you get a POV shot of their like photographs being taken by someone. You're like, that's strange.
Right. Yeah. So photographs are being taken by, I guess, the bad guys, and then so they've been involved in guys. Can someone explain to me what?
Yeah, they were basically embezzling money. They work for they're stockbrokers, and they were basically embezzling money for the mafia, and the mafia leader is currently on trial. So now these three guys are.
Were they doing it? Did they know they were doing it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
because they have that scene in the bathroom where his buddy's got a gun and he's like,
yes, inexplicably, another gun at work.
Money, they knew.
Another
in a bathroom,
at work. I mean, you just gotta love the 80s and 90s in America, man. Like, yeah, it's fine, go to work, it's fine.
I love that scene because like he's like, hey, come with me, and they go to the bathroom, and Jon Cryer's like, oh great, we're getting ready to do some cocaine at let's say 8 a.m.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want to show you my gun. He's like, cool, is there cocaine in there? He's like, no.
The regular gun, not a coke.
Let me stick it on my nose anyway, it'll be fine. But then so then one of them sort of dies, so they're taken into protective custody. Leo from West Wing rocks up. There's also never explained time jumps in this movie. It's like, has there been days, weeks, months going on at times? So
he graduates at the end of this movie.
So we have to assume that they've been in protective custody for a while, but it's kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine protective custody, that they're just in an abandoned building.
Well, yeah, it can't be that long. I mean, that when
they're hungry.
When he's first in protective because he's wearing the same suit, so it's not like they've been in hiding for a few days, I would assume. And then he's like, I'm getting hungry, we got to go get something to eat. So they walk across the street to the diner, which is full of shotguns. One thing too, he's being very protective of this book. It's like his client list of all of his like clients,
which is very important.
It's so important.
That never the fuck came back, did it?
Loses it immediately.
They make such a big deal about it, and then it's never ever mentioned again.
They make a bigger deal out of him having to mail a letter to his grandmother for her birthday. Because that's like Chekhov's grandma's.
It was so random.
Chekhov's grandma.
And it's like, I call him. Like the other thing they go, I call him Honey Boy, and she calls him Honey Boy, and it's almost like, was the movie supposed to be called Honey Boy? But they only use it twice. It's so many random ideas that the only good part of that movie, by the way, was the grammar.
She was smart. She was wise.
That's what I mean. She's like, but
not wise enough to hide the fucking cards. Right. These criminals are just one step ahead every time. So anyways, they go to the diner, and
immediately
Dracula is there.
Dracula with a shotgun opens fire. One FBI dies. Like Leo gets
fucking brutally.
And then you get great Jon Cryer through the window kind of thing.
Insane, just insane.
Like so if anyone's like wondering what this movie is, I love its definition on Wikipedia is Hiding Out is a 1987 American romantic thriller comedy drama.
Nailed it. Yes.
It's just what?
Oh man!
Like there's no
romantic.
Better.
The romantic in that was really troubling.
They do.
Yes. Oh my god.
There's the only better description I've ever heard for a movie is for Shaun of the Dead, and they go, "It's a rom-com zom. It's a romantic comedy with zombies." I was like, okay, that's great, but romantic thriller comedy drama, set in the 80s. But yes, so then he escapes, and the thing is that they've already been getting shot at. But I do like that then that Dracula during the car chase takes the time to
assembles the weapon,
another gun,
a sniper rifle.
But not a sniper rifle. It's just
it's a rifle with a scope on it.
Yeah,
but the guy is just
like
opening
Uzi with
fire.
A scope. Yeah,
he's opening at a train station.
And you can, I mean, this whole scene is like, this is such such an 80s movie, like all the action beats. The fact that it's Jon Cryer is like bewildering to me.
Famous heartthrob.
Right. Yeah. What did I say in the text thread? I'm like, I got the perfect pitch for you guys. I got the perfect movie here. Well, you said, I'm like, oh, great. Who are we going to cast? Charlie Sheen, Johnny Depp? Like, sir, you're going to love this.
Wait, we're going to slap a beard on this guy. Oh, it's going to be great.
Have you seen 16 Candles? I'm going on. Go on. Yeah. Jon Cryer. and picture while I'm doing that, picture the guy from the Key and Peele Gremlins 2 sketch doing that.
It's Ducky.
It's in the movie.
My
fake beard, statutory rape, sniper rifle gym scene.
It's in Dracula assassin. It's all in. By the way, it really I keep saying Dracula. We keep saying Dracula. There's no other way to describe this guy.
I was
so
much
like
like
the movie is even like the movie is even like I think Dracula was trying to kill him.
God.
Like, it's insane. This guy's
So-
Widowpeak is from another planet.
Oh yeah, it's
He's pale white.
it's so
Yeah,
sharp
it's
you could
wild,
kill
yeah.
a person with that widow's
Mhm.
beak. It's
That's
quite
what should
incredible.
that he should have. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, just stabs people with his widow's beak. That would be
Oh.
great.
That would have been cool.
But
Now you're a
fortunately-
widow. That makes sense.
Jon Cryer is fortunately at a train station when he is under fire, and he jumps on a train. Trains, of course, being famously a mode of transport where you never know where they're going to be or when they're
Anywhere.
gonna go. It's like
You
I
never
love it
know
if
where a train will be.
He finally runs and gets on that train as it stops at the next.
That was what I was
Stop.
thinking. He's flipping them off. Train
the
comes to a
the
stop.
one-way train from Boston to Delaware, as you know.
well,
God.
he hitchhikes with a truck driver and ends up in
See, I
Topsail,
missed that, 'cause
Delaware.
that's the bit where you're like, oh, Delaware, okay.
Well, because then
Thank God.
because
I
as
missed
he's
that.
calling his cousin, who is famously that guy from Toy Soldiers.
Yep.
Which
mhm,
again,
that's the
I've
one.
got to get on the show next season. I
Yeah.
love that
Oh, yeah.
movie. So fun fact, actually, Jon Cryer's the actress playing his aunt is Jon Cryer's mum.
Nice.
So
The
Wow.
only interesting fact about this movie.
that is the only.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from this point,
Every other
on-
fact is upsetting.
So from the moment we have a phone call to his cousin where he tells his aunt, "I'm in trouble," from this point on, nothing makes sense. So Jon Cryer goes into a gas station, buys a razor so he can peel off his beard, inexplicably dyes just the side of his head. Comes out, trades his wait, see the $5,000 suit. Trades his suit with a homeless guy to get a jacket that he then wears for most of the movie. So he's like, I need to look.
It's a
like
good look, though. I will
teenager.
say it's a good look.
So I need to look like a teenager with just a baby face, stupid fucking hair, and a homeless person's jacket.
Just give me the Ricky Vaughn. Like that's kind of the
that's, but that's where I'm like I said, some exposition would have been good. Because then he just
Yeah.
walks into the high school where his cousin goes,
Well, he needed a lighter for the cigarette. That's the only
Right.
reason.
gets himself, right, he does, he needs a light, gets himself, just decides to, fuck it. I'll just enlist in school by just pretending to be Maxwell Hauser, because it's just
I'm just now remembering the reason. Yep, that was the best. Is I love that scene. And someone's trying to come up with a fake name. They have to look at objects around the room. Great.
This is
But-
Kaiser Sose scene.
Yeah.
What I'm
But-
saying is Usual Suspects ripped this movie off.
Oh, sure. I mean, that movie does
Kevin
have
Spacey,
Kevin
dude.
Spacey.
Anyway,
in it.
moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. But no, he has that phone call with his aunt, and I think they were arranging to meet at the school, which is why he was there. Right.
Yes, right, but exactly.
But then he really leans into it.
But that's what I mean. As in, so he's on
Guess
the
I'm in
run.
class. Yeah.
He's called his aunt, and then he goes, you know what? Fuck
Fuck
it.
it.
I'm just gonna.
I'm gonna
I'm
bang me a
enlist in
teenager.
school.
Yeah.
And then within like 10 minutes of being the new guy, I kind of found it quite interesting and timely that in 2024, like the teacher is teaching fake news and talking about how people really like Richard Nixon. But
Right.
he
Yeah.
stands up, does a speech about Nixon, gets a teenage girl just frothing at the gash.
Frothing at the gish.
and then he's like, you know what? Fuck it. You know, I'm going to stay it. So then we also have the inexplicable character that decides to be his number two that now wants to make him class president. And we're off to the races of a movie that makes no sense. At no time does he contact the FBI. At no time does he contact the police. At no time does he contact his aunt. He just goes all in for, I'm going to fuck that 17-year-old girl.
Which, by the way, like in a normal movie, in a sane person's movie, they would have him be a teenager because they're like, we need to put you in the situation where people are
Right,
least expect.
right.
Nobody is forcing him to be here.
No.
Nobody is forcing him to take on, like, there's no reason for him to be acting like a teenager. And he goes to Delaware because he's like, I need to call my Aunt Lucy. I need to like hang out with her. Spends the rest of the movie hiding from her.
Yep.
There's a scene
Yeah.
where the FBI and her are like together,
They're
and
at
he's
the
like,
house,
"Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to get caught." It's like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I guess I know why he doesn't want to get caught. He's dating a 17-year-old.
Right.
But,
Right.
He's
you know,
this close to banging her, man.
Yeah. It's like, it is insane. The movie forgets its own premise.
Yep.
Like every 10 minutes, you know, it just.
And then he can't, like, nothing makes any sense, but it's.
And this goes on
explained.
for months. He's at
Yes.
this
Yeah.
fucking school.
That's what I mean.
Months.
Okay, so now he's running for sort of class, doesn't want to be, but is running for class president. Then he's like, well, I accidentally got this young lady's, attention talking about Nixon. So, I mean, I guess I'll go on a date with her.
As you do, yeah.
Ladies love it when you trash Nixon.
Yeah.
That is like the number one thing on Bumble. If you put on your Nixon hate,
Oh shit! Really? All right, hang on. Hang on.
you are just gonna be busy for the next few weeks.
Then go roller skating with that lady.
Not a crook. Done. Print it.
But like he's also like sleeping at the school. So then so I said, like, if you've ever seen the movie Rudy, you've got the magical janitor that becomes his friend that lets him sort of stay. So this guy's like, all right, cool, no problem. I thought you were staying here. I'm crazy too. Let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink immediately. Yeah. He's roller skating through the school.
At 1 in the morning,
right.
You know.
Because they went on one roller skating date and he's like, I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to really show that girl what's what.
And
Squeeze
then,
it to her heart. Best friends.
He and the janitor thing, that happens really late into the movie too.
Yeah.
That's not like, he's been at the school for like 6 months at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it is insane.
So
he's already in the next grade.
Yeah.
It's repeating the grade. He's got a new girlfriend. Dracula, at the same time, is kind of like trying to find him, goes to Grandma's place. And so, again, there's been a whole like point about this is a letter I've got to send my grandma, which he does, a birthday card.
Well, he drops it. He drop that letter in the
Yes,
cafe.
in the cafe with his cousin, and then Ryan picks it up. Ryan, not that Ryan, but female Ryan. And then
that's right. The female character in this movie has my name, which was deeply troubling.
Jon Cryer has been calling you for weeks.
Yeah. I am horny.
If only you were 17. But like, yeah, so that was at least like the little bit of writing that happened in this movie, that the guys sort of go pretending to be cops to Grandma's house. She's wise to it, starts playing like, I don't know what you're talking about. But they see the postmark from this sort of card and they realize
Delaware.
He's somewhere in this town in Delaware. Now because he was 29 and now looks weirdly like an 18-year-old and hair on his face, no one is noticing him. No one is spotting him. But like,
he's mind you, he's been in the news constantly. Like whenever, like this whole story is
it's a national story.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, exactly.
And then it was like, how did they find him? And he's like, well, and I texted you. It wasn't that he used an ATM. It's that he used a bank machine.
Yeah,
the bank machine.
Yeah, like Daryl uses. That's how they get you.
I was just so weird, like bank machine. Who the fuck calls it a bank machine? But I'm like, all right, is that his way of trying to communicate with teenagers? Going right, none of us know what ATM is. Let's use a bank machine.
I'm just
capitalism,
like
am I right? Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, imagine Steve Buscemi in this movie. Hell yeah,
a much better film.
Hey kids. I love even. I'm trying to read the description on Wikipedia for what happened in this movie, and it gets bored with high school. And realizing he's the last witness against a murderer, he decides to drop out. It's like if he was more interested in high school, he'd have stayed in. But then it comes to that point. Also, by the way, completely forgettable jock character whose life he's ruining because he steals his girl, then steals his class presidency.
Yeah, but is weirdly honorable when it comes to the election. Like the teacher is trying to rig it in his favor just because she doesn't like Jon Cryer. All right,
not the only statutory rapist in the movie. This horny female teacher that's trying to fuck the boy.
I got a weird vibe from that too.
She rigs an election for him.
What is she, Republican?
She loves Richard Nixon, and she's just again frothing at the cash for this teenage boy.
Oh man,
Who also looked 30.
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
He was definitely also on the run from something else. That would have been a better movie.
This
then
is
they
a
team
whole
up?
movie. Yeah, it's a whole movie. Half the school is populated by people pretending to be high schoolers.
Oh man, that'd be cool.
No,
Like that Drew Barrymore movie where she's a reporter and has to go to high school.
Same
that's
school.
Never Been Kissed.
Yeah.
Also troubling movie, but also good.
Yeah.
Then so it kind of builds to it, like the bit where the guy so Dracula turns up to kill him. I love it. We just call him Dracula, but Dracula
no
calls
other
up,
description for him.
yeah, to kill him. But then that magical janitor that he's now friends with interferes, takes him out. Now there's gunfire at school, sort of gunshots.
Oh my God.
Gunshots at work.
These kids are going to be fucking traumatized. There was a school shooting at the election ceremony in the school, and then they watch a man fall to his death.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
This
they're all
is back
front
when this is back when a school shooting was like a twist.
Yeah,
like
not
that
in the
was
fun
like-
way.
Yeah.
well, that's
It
weird.
was like, what a weird turn of events
Yeah.
at a school, you say?
Well,
thing
back in
is-
the 80s, they didn't close school the next day. You had to fucking go again.
Right.
Well, well, you're going to die in nuclear war anyway. But the thing about it is like, yeah, so the most of the plot, so this is what is the weirdest part, is that while it might be a, a romantic thriller comedy drama, is that it definitely
All those
leans
things.
into the, no, because he just goes, but I'm in love with Ryan, when he's talking to his cousin. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're a 29-year-old stockbroker and she is a teenage girl that just at school.
This is a guy who on their first date solves her father's tax problems.
Yeah, that was funny. I did like that.
That's the thing though with this movie is like on one side of the spectrum, much like the opening scene where they're discussing homosexuality and sexuality.
Yes.
Wild.
Pretty,
This movie is on a
woke for the
spectrum.
80s.
I agree. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
And pretty woke for Kevin McAllister.
But then it switches around immediately when his cousin thinks he brings him in the bathroom because he's gay, and that was like,
We're gonna fuck you.
yeah. But
So weird.
The movie, it's on the spectrum where it wants to be this like really dark and gritty thriller, but also this kind of like teen comedy, and it just these two things just aren't meshing.
Yeah, it's what if they put
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller in a mob movie, and it's just it's not
Ooh,
working.
well, hey.
Hold on.
But you're right. It's like the vibe just doesn't match up. It's too silly at times and too violent at other times.
Right.
It's just not one.
It's like I said, there's no exposition, so things just happen in the movie. Just things that, and you don't understand why. What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? For what reason? Why are you
Pussy.
going there? Why have you gone on the date? Why are you like this guy? Why? What? What is happening?
It's for pussy. Yeah.
I mean, like,
Were you not getting that?
I mean, like, again, it can't be overstated. Like, if this was a sane person's movie, it would be like, oh, you have to like go out with her because you need something from the dad. The dad has a bit of information.
Yeah.
So he's going on a date as a farce to like get this information so he can like give it to the FBI. But instead, the way he goes on the date is she asks him out and he says yes. And then goes on a date with a 17-year-old. At no point is he like, should I be doing this? He's like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, so we'll just go on the date.
It's like
Yeah.
Gross Point Blank, where
Right.
where he's got this whole thing with Minnie Driver, and it turns out that his target is actually her dad. That whole like brings it all together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas
This
in
does
this
not have
movie,
that.
in this movie, a 29-year-old pretending to be pretending to be pretending to be a high school student, saves her dad $1,000 on taxes, makes him choke on his drink, and then he's like, "Yeah, you can fuck my daughter."
Yeah. Gives him money too. He's just like, oh yeah, here you go.
There you go.
And
Yeah, have a
then
good time. Bang
this
my
movie
daughter. Yeah,
also
thank you.
has the whole running thing with his twerpy kind of cousin who I remember from not only Toy Soldiers, but it was Adventures in Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Oh shit.
God, the whole babysit and
Yes.
I'm surprised they didn't put him in like Babysitter Killer Queen on Netflix. That would have been just a really complete
The
series.
trilogy.
But he's in any other movie too, like you would have the cooler like cousin making him cooler, but
Yeah,
Jon Cryer
introducing him
isn't
around
fucking
school.
cool. Like he's not a
No.
cool
There's
guy. He's just
no struggle for Jon Cryer. Yeah,
No.
he turns up at high school. Like I think one of my you referenced it, the one Never Been Kissed.
Yeah,
with Drew
yeah.
Barrymore. She turns up at high school. She's done high school, but she kind of sucked out. But no, she's still a loser. You know,
Or like
it's
21 Jump Street. It's the same fucking
Yes.
thing.
Marty
You know?
McFly. You know, like
Yeah,
he
I
at least
love
has to
that. This
struggle.
dynamic is great, but
And in this case, no, it's more like, hey, I'm cooler than you. So hey, loser cousin, who's only here to for what? What is the point of his character apart from I'm just going to be a cooler version of you?
I can't get my driver's license. I'm like, oh, that's probably going to come up later, and he's going to have to drive somewhere. But no, he goes on a fucking date, and the girl drives.
Yeah.
What? Unnecessary.
It's
Unnecessary.
just so there's
A lot of
nothing in this
holes.
movie.
Yeah.
A lot of holes. Also in the plot, but
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
I think, and it's something I want to get into, is that because if you think, dear viewer, dear listener, if the whole plot line of statutory rape, an actual line in the movie is, hey, you know, statutory, you ever heard the word statutory rape? His cousin literally says it to him and he goes, so apart from the fact he falls in love with this high school girl, okay? So now he's in witness protection. He's also a
Barely.
okay.
Yes.
We then get a little epilogue where we now see this high school girl is in college, but he is in witness protection as a professor. So now he is a professor at college that is going to fuck one of
You're
his
glazing
students.
over something very important. There's a line earlier in the film when it's the two FBI agents and him are in the diner, and he's like, "You don't get it, man. Like once you go into WITSEC, like you're done.
Different
like
you,
you're
different
changes.
place, you know, different
So,
life, house.
yeah, everything. Like your whole life is changing. So I guess that's why he's kind of like dealing with the processing that in his own way. But when you get to the epilogue, he chose that.
Yes.
He chose to be
Yes.
near her, to go to that school, to be near this now 18-year-old
Maybe
girl
18 and a half. You know,
who they've been on one roller
Maybe.
skating date with.
she's young enough to still talk about
It's
her age in half.
wild. He looks like a professor in the school. It's fucking
It's like,
nuts.
doesn't he have like a pipe or something? And he's got glasses. So he's like, now he's
It's
costuming.
so creepy. It's so fucking creepy.
It's insane. And they're going, this is a move. How
Kids
many
are gonna
people
love this.
had to approve this $7 million movie and going, you know what, guys?
How many Jon Cryer calendars did they sell? Like what? I don't understand how this was okay.
I don't understand how they were like not expecting us to root for Dracula Assassin. Like that guy's the hero of the movie.
Hold on. Can you write that title down, please? 'Cause that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds
he's
fucking
just-
tight.
It's the story of this mob assassin that's trying to protect the virginity of this poor innocent young high school girl that's been taken advantage by a criminal.
Oh, and there's even a line in the thing where he's like, "Hey, sir, like, are you still dating that guy?" Like he's been following her around college. He's like, I've been waiting for the right moment to strike up a conversation with you. And how does he do it? He throws a fucking piece of paper at her that I forget what it said. It was like a line they had on their date, and it just says the same thing. So she uncrumbles this piece of paper, and it's like, behind you. And she like turns around, and it's like he comes out like Nathan Fielder, like from behind the tree. And he's like, oh, hello.
He just said,
Oh,
I know what you did last summer.
Ooh, I know who you did last time.
But I have to be honest.
Fucking crazy. And then they kiss, and it's so fucking gross.
It's
the weirdest.
The great thing about so as we've talked about in previous episodes is sometimes we will sync up a watch between like a pair or three of us, and we'll be texting each other. Sometimes we'll get on a Zoom and we'll watch a movie together. But in this case, all three of us watched this movie at a different time, and all three of us deployed a wall of text. Just to the text thread of like, what the fuck is going on? Is this
all the same too?
Yeah.
And we all had the same reactions,
page,
kind of just like, none of it makes sense until you watch the movie. Then it's like, I feel like I'm watching a crime.
All of my texts were like, I don't know, I can kind of see where he's going.
It's like, it's like, what if that Helena Bonham Carter line from Fight Club was a movie? It's like, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school.
Original or remix line?
Honestly,
you're gonna have to clarify.
So, I mean, the thing is, so it's something we're doing on this on the podcast now is we actually get into whether you should watch these movies or not. Hiding Out must go top of your list.
Yeah.
For you just
This is-
wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe this movie exists, how it was written, edited, put out, and how, like I said, Empire Records made $300,000 off a $10 million budget. Hiding Out made $7.5 million off a $7 million budget. $7 million.
Sequel. Let's go.
Hiding Out, junior high.
Yeah, now
that's
now
the next
Jon
movie.
Cryer and Annabeth Gish are a family, and someone has to like they both work at the college, and someone hides out at their school, and they're like, he's like, I've done this dance before, and it's like a mega sequel where he like
No,
he got-
that's right.
Trey's the new guy. Yeah,
It's a 17-year-old girl who's got involved in witness protection that has to then age up to be hidden at the college
Oh, I thought you
where
said it has
he
to fuck
works,
Jon
and
Cryer.
he's like, you know what? I need to fuck this girl.
I got just the thing for you.
Absolutely wild. And they honestly will. I mean, that's the thing is like sometimes I'm like, no, guys, let's go with the random one. Let's go with the random one.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is one of those all-time greats for season
It was
one.
it was either this or Goosebumps.
Oh yeah, this is.
Yes, that's right. Which I've heard.
Oh, I should have saved that for the also rant. I'm sure
heard,
you did.
I've heard that's a gimme, but no, wild, absolutely wild that we had.
This was a great sleeper fucking hit.
Yes.
It's a deeply troubling movie that is very, very bad. Strong recommend.
100% watch. I have to be honest, like it's like we talk about. We all listen to a few movie podcasts, but another one, a great one, is How Did This Get Made? Has there not been an episode on this?
I mean,
Not that I could tell.
I don't think so either.
I think we're the only ones
We
who
beat them
talked
to
about
it.
this movie since '89.
It's so funny you say that. It's like if this was on like cable, I'm sure I would have like come across this movie at some point. Never fucking heard of this.
I got a funny idea why. People watched the movie. They're
It
like,
came out in between RoboCop and Predator in 1987. Was it 85 or 87?
87.
There you go.
But wow. I mean, honestly, considering that there has been this sword of Damocles hanging over us regarding Delaware,
Yeah.
and it's
right.
like,
I forgot what we're doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
but like,
I thought we were doing
what-
the state of disgust this week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like what, the state of being underage. But like,
Yeah.
is that we ended up? It was a banger of a week.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
one of my absolute favorites. So like after we did the last episode, honestly, the very next day, I think Ryan and I both did double feature. We just did Empire Records and Fight Club back to back.
Yeah.
The very next day, and then honestly, Hiding Out, I might rewatch it tonight because I rented it. I paid money to rent that piece of shit. But
So did I. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Same.
And for $1 more, I could have owned it. Voodoo, you need to sort your shit out. You need to let us rent the movie, and if we decide to buy it, just make it a little upcharge.
Yeah,
that's so
Voodoo,
dumb.
That's the
Yeah.
stupidest thing.
How are people going to see Hiding Out
Yeah.
if you got to make them rent it over and over and over again?
No, it's going to listen to our podcast, and then they're going to find there's going to be this tiny little bump
Yes,
of
very.
$15.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
And it's just the
people-
three of us again.
It's us and Adam.
Yeah.
Jon Cryer is gonna get a check for like 3 cents. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, shit.
Who's watching this?
But no joke, like this was a great week. Is that yes, Empire Records for me and the guys is a hard recommend.
Yeah.
A greatly underrated cult classic that
Yeah,
bombed.
if you haven't seen this movie by now, like, I mean,
Yeah.
I can see Ollie, I can see your daughter like really enjoying this movie
I
too.
think, yeah, I'd be down. I think she'd be up for it. I think for sure. Fight Club.
Hiding Out, not so much.
No. Fight Club, another absolute banger in my opinion.
Yeah.
Something you see, another cult classic, another box office bomb. The only well-reviewed critically movie that made its budget.
And
back.
arguably the most Delaware.
No,
Let's
no
go.
fucking
Let's
arguments
go.
from me.
Let's go.
This is going to be the shortest debate in the history of this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yep.
You better fucking believe we're picking this movie for Delaware because I want to
And
watch it again next season.
Oh my god.
Delaware, if you want us to change our mind, you have to make more movies. This is
Yes.
on you, Delaware. This
There's
is not on us.
There's only 9, and like 3 of them are documentaries.
Did you know that Hiding Out is Aubrey Plaza and Joe Biden's favorite film? Also from Delaware.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the connection.
Oh my you go.
Write that down.
Well, you just ruined the next election. There you go by putting that one out. But no, guys, is there any debate about this? No, none at all. None at all, because Empire Records, technically set in Delaware, it is shot in Wilmington, North Carolina. Fight Club, they didn't even mention Delaware. It's shot in LA. Hiding Out, they certainly mentioned Delaware. There's definitely a license plate, and there's so much troubling content to this movie.
I think the school also has a Delaware flag.
Yeah,
on the
well, there you
outside
go.
of it, right?
Well, then it's done. The official, the movie to represent Delaware to the whole world for all time, or at least until we find another movie of the 6 that exist to dethrone it, is Delaware. The movie that represents you is 1987's Hiding Out, the very, very, very famous romantic thriller, comedy, drama.
Stop saying romantic.
Statutory rape film.
Stop. Yeah, the movie that made Delaware secede from the Union.
This is just
God damn it.
confounding in every single way. It is available to rent if you want to donate money to troubling things. But honestly, I would recommend getting drunk and or high and watching this movie with a group of people and just wondering how anything like this ever gets made.
I would say absolutely rent this, because this is the closest I've come to a while to like seeing a movie that feels like a dream, in that you're just like, wait, how did we get here? What's going on? It just doesn't track.
Yeah.
And the movie never stops to help you out.
Oh, hang on. The tagline. I love this. There's only one thing more frightening than murder: high school. I would argue statutory rape is a bit scary.
A tad bit scary.
Yeah, just a touch. Just a touch.
Just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. 100% recommend. Watch this movie. Reach out to us and talk to us about it. If you want to, you can find us on our Facebook page. You can just the United States of a Movie. I like that people are interacting with us there. Jumping in on the YouTube comments, I always appreciate those. I like to engage with you guys in YouTube as well. It's always fun. I also post videos about movies every Monday on my That Englishman in Texas channel, or you can find me as Ollie Pettigrew. We like to get into this. Some great recommendations. Will, he's got a great TikTok where he talks about movies. You can find him as entitled Millennial. Ryan doesn't do shit online.
You can find me rollerblading through your high school late at night.
And helping you with taxes if you've got a daughter.
I'm listening.
The thing is, like, genuinely, this is maybe one of my favorite episodes we've done.
We can't even do the almost ran because there's no other fucking movies.
There's no point getting into the almost ran because it was hard finding 3 movies to do about Delaware. And like there was the sequel, Things to Do in Delaware When You're Dead Inside.
Nice.
But no, we're not even.
Yes,
we barely got into the Rams, let alone the also Rams. We were lucky to find 3. So yeah, Delaware, make some more movies. Have a talk with Joe Menonsky and Jeff Rothberg, because they wrote this movie.
They're in jail now.
And the police wanted to speak to them.
Yeah. They're in witness protection.
Yeah.
They're currently in high school.
Oh my God. Will, okay. They're written by, he does have a Wikipedia page, and the preview of the Wikipedia page is a television writer known for working on the various Star Trek series.
No! Is it Enterprise and Voyager? Then it's okay, because those are the bad ones.
I'm looking it up. Writing credits. Oh my God. Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Discovery, and 3 episodes of For All Mankind. A show that's excellent. All right. Well, I got questions for this fella. He's written some pretty.
Is he married to Annabeth Gish?
He's got a very famous writing career from prison here. No. I'm kidding. This is all alleged. We're teasing you. No. But yeah, dude, seriously, you wrote that movie? That is a troubling movie. Okay, yeah, not doing also rans. What we're going to do quickly is I'm jumping on a plane tomorrow. where I'm going to see you two idiots. So we're all going to be in Phoenix. We're all going to be in Arizona this weekend.
I'll be in Delaware.
So we might, like I said, we haven't figured it out. Honestly, we might just try to catch up. But if we can figure out some sort of special episode, some sort of watch along from a classic movie that we've had, like The Wraith, like this, we might get into it. But just in case, to get ahead for next week, we've got to do the Magic Pen, guys. We've only got a few states left.
I like that this has become our thing now. So twirling a pen and a piece of paper.
There's no other way of doing it. We're going to use some fate. So here we go.
How does that work? What does it underline it? Does it point to it? How do you know which end?
It's whichever one it points to. You see, I've got, here you go. Look, you can see I've got a detailed list. It's all, they've been crossed out. So we've got a few left. They're randomly dispersed. They weren't in alphabetical order.
Really high-tech podcast we got.
Yeah, so we are top draw podcast. That was not even close. All right, no, I'm going to try that again. That fell
Delaware again. What?
No, that's cool. Nothing. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, no arguments here. Kansas, the state of Kansas. Look at Will's wrist with the Superman logo. I've got a funny idea if the Superman movie is going to turn out. We're at
Superman 4. Punish you all.
So next week here at the United States of a Movie, there might be a special episode, or it might be an episode about Kansas, or it might be something else entirely. Who knows? Because we're going to finally get together for the first time in the history of this podcast, which will be great. Like I said, you can follow along online with us, Facebook, Reddit. You can find me, That Englishman in Texas, entitled Will End with Will. But from all of us here, go and watch Hiding Out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And really let us know what you think. Don't hold back.
I can't wait. I've already got an idea for my Monday video, and I'm going to have some fun with it.
I love how different the Facebook comments are compared to your Instagram comments.
Yeah.
It is dicey.
YouTube
Facebook, I see no problem here.
It's wild. It really is.
Jon Cryer was right.
Nixon was right. So, Will, Ryan, thanks for your excellent choices this week. What a fantastic week. I can't believe it. I look forward to seeing your choices for Kansas as well. But from us, from me, from Real and Ryan, just put it all
Station.
together. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. We'll see you next time.